Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another live stream. So, as always, we've got our live streams coming in on either Sunday and Monday as a pre-market. Tuesday as a follow-up, just to second day in of trading. And then obviously we have another follow-up on Thursday with another live stream, just to kind of give a heads up and touch on all the points that we've kind of come across over the majority of the week, and then obviously giving you an update and kind of a clearer picture going into the end of the week, and then obviously the weekend as well. So normally Tuesdays live streams are a bit shorter. Obviously we've only had we're only into the second day of the trading week, so we're just going to go over a little bit of analysis over sort of what we're seeing on the news, kind of add that to the picture, and then just kind of dive into price action in the Bitcoin chart, as well as all the other important charts as well. So towards the end, we're going to give everyone an opportunity to obviously ask any questions, and kind of just whether you guys want any sort of TA done on any other charts, we will go through them as well. So if you do, just keep them in mind for the end, and then we'll kind of go and do a bit of analysis on them coins as well. So yeah, welcome everyone. Let's go back. So what's happened since the pre-market? So the pre-market, if you guys watched it, if you haven't, we were over here, okay, and we actually spoke about the sort of formation of a bearish flag, which was exactly what we got, and then we got the breakdown, continuation all the way down, found support at 33 grand. Volume is coming in, which is fantastic. However, we're looking for support around this area over here. So realistically, what we want to see is a fall down to that area again, or at least sort of test this level of support, just to kind of get more of a confirmation, an increase in buy side volume, and a push up. Good amount of accumulation at this zone over here, but now we are also getting quite a high level of distribution. So when the distribution wave is complete, we can then assess, we can basically compare it to kind of what's happened previously and see whether it's actually strong enough to kind of hold that support level, or if we are going to go down lower. Now, we are now sort of becoming more inclined to think that we are going to come lower, just because of what's being seen in the news outlets. So we'll go over them quickly. We won't actually dive deep into any of these articles, but it's just to give you guys a picture as to kind of what's happening. Obviously before the big drop, we touched on some fundamentals and sort of discussed how they were almost like little seeds being planted before a large drop. So it's exactly what happened. And the problem now is that normally before a very large drop, we get quite a lot of news or FOMO news coming into the market. But this time round, we got two articles which were quite important in terms of kind of putting fear into the market. And one of them was the fact that obviously the energy usage of Bitcoin is its problem. And if you all remember, what happened last time in terms of something like that being released. We saw a very large drop, but it was only that, and then another piece of information that came out before we saw, obviously, this drop that one we fully capitalized on, which was amazing. So this drop here, where it broke this 40, sorry, this drop where we saw the breakout. So if we kind of just have a little scroll through Bloomberg, it's all, there's no really good news. It's all just putting fear into the market, which again is kind of adding to the picture that things are likely to go deeper. It's all just part of putting fear into the market, getting everyone to kind of sell off, even if they're in losses, as a lot of people were in the wrong side of this move. A lot of people were saying that 40 grand was the bottom, and obviously clearly it was not the bottom. So yeah, so we kind of come down a bit. So we got FOMO turns to OMG for crypto traders who bought at peak prices. Okay, so that's one. We've got, where was the other ones? Bitcoin breaches $34,000 as crypto searches for a floor. Again, so even just across other markets as well. So you got Netflix stock drops 25%, which is obviously huge. It's all just not fantastic news, and it's just a way of putting more fear into the market and making traders not think properly. Okay, so make stupid decisions, adding more liquidity to the market. Okay, which ultimately kind of ends in them kind of being cut out and losing. So it's exactly what the institutions want us to do, but obviously we kind of need to stay awake and kind of looking at what's happening and making sure that we always have a contingency plan, and obviously plan out different scenarios that could play out depending on the price action that we see going forward. So in terms of going back to that sort of TA, obviously we're seeing a nice little bounce over here, which is obviously understandable after we see a kind of second fall or third fall to Bitcoin. If we go on, just work out how much it's down. So we are down over 50%, okay, which is huge. And if we kind of go back on previous price history in terms of the last bull run in 2017, these were the levels of reduction in Bitcoin prices before one day bounce back up, completely bull trapping bulls, and then obviously continuing on its way down, basically kind of kickstarting the sort of bear phase. So we definitely need to be kind of aware that we could very, very well be going into a bear market. It's found support at a nice area. However, we will need to see what the volume is like and the price action that is like going down into the lower time frames towards the end of the week. So obviously we're on the weekly chart, and we will want to see a spike up in buy side volume with a wick on the bottom to kind of give us a better idea. If that's the case, then we're looking obviously at resistance around this level over here where that bear flag got formed. Okay, so we could see a slow push all the way up to this level over here. If it fails to break, that's a confirmation of new resistance. Okay, so past support turning into new resistance. Okay, so that will kind of be adding to obviously the picture that we are going lower. And as you can see, this is quite a good level to be finding resistance at. Obviously 40k was that level that people were thinking that it was the bottom. So it's a very key level on this chart, and if it fails to break, okay, so naturally we're going to find resistance at this level, okay. It's about how price reacts when it pulls back and tries to find support to make that break, right? So if we get let's say a push up, weakening in buy side volume, okay, then we get pushed down and past the fib levels, okay, so we'll be pulling the fib from bottom to top. If they're not finding strong support at those Fibonacci levels, that is then your indication that things are going to continue moving lower, okay. So in terms of price moving lower, so one, we will just put this sort of resistance level. So we've got, let me go down. So this is a very key level over here. I don't know where this, so we actually got a nice order block just here. As you can see, this green candle just here. I'll move it over. So as you can see, there's a nice order block here, okay. So it also is lined up with that 50 moving average on the 4 hour, so there's going to definitely be good enough resistance on there, okay. So could find resistance here, pull back maybe to this order block over here, create some support, and then go up to these levels over here, okay. But what we want to kind of keep an eye on is obviously the strength of these buyers and bulls. So we want to see an increase, and a very good large increase or influx in buying action to kind of give the indication that we are finding the bottom. Realistically, we are probably going to come down and test this support level again before the market kind of makes a decision as to where it wants to go. Obviously, we'll be getting something very similar to kind of what's happened over here, right? Where we get sort of an accumulation, distribution sort of stage, or a range where it tests a level a few times before making that larger move. Okay, so that will be the case if things want to go up higher. If not, we probably will be seeing a much larger sell-off come sooner rather than later, and that price level that we're going to be looking for support is obviously around 20 and 22k, which is quite shocking to have to say. However, that is the next level, okay, or the next strong level on this chart. Obviously, we got a few little midpoints that prices will have to kind of break to reach that level. So we've got around 26 grand, and then we've got this level over here just below 24k. So those are your next levels of support. That's if 32 and 30k gets broken. But for now, we will continue to kind of look at 32 and 30k as our support. Hopefully we can come test it off, so we could see another move down, okay, get some more liquidity at short range, okay, wick up, potentially we get another wick all the way down to 30, and then that's when we see our huge influx in buy orders taking us much higher, okay. So that is what we're looking at as things stand. They don't look entirely too bad. Obviously, we are only in Tuesday, second day of trading, and we are seeing a nice little reaction. It's just whether it's going to be enough on the higher time frames to give us the indication that it is strong support. Okay, so obviously we've only just really started to find support, and see how we get sort of like formulations like this. Okay, so we could see the same thing, could see a quick test of this level, maybe even a few times, to see whether there's enough liquidity at that price point to take things higher. But again, so just wanted to obviously touch on what we just touched on earlier on. There is a lot of bad news going around in terms of crypto, and it's probably going to continue. Don't expect prices to absolutely blow the roof off. This is something that's going to last at least a month, 2-3 months. Okay, there is a lot of losses occurring at this moment, so confidence will have to be put back into the market. And obviously, how do we do that? One, price action. Two, positive news, and big positive news, kind of giving more of an overlook and more of a direction in the market, or positive direction in the market as to where things are going. So for example, something positive in terms of regulation and moving the industry in the right way. Regulation in terms of even central banks pushing forward with the stable coins, kind of making it a bit more mainstream, a bit more accessible, but not stuff like in terms of things that like potentials that this can happen or this can happen. We want straight facts. We want to know this is happening. It's been confirmed. It's going live. It's going live at this certain point in time. That's what we kind of want to know. But obviously, the biggest point is to do with Bitcoins or cryptos energy usage. Okay, if that can get cleared up, that will be a good enough point to make things really blow up. So obviously, it was its main problem in terms of kickstarting these sort of massive short sells. Okay, so for things to push up in the same matter, okay, they will need to have some clarity in it and kind of push forward with it. Okay, until then, we will just either see a sort of ranging action, or we will see a continuation further down. But that's kind of our picture to it. That's what we're looking at. That's what we're expecting. So it is extremely key that you guys could sort of stay intact with the fundamental side of things that are happening. Obviously, we got Putin or Russia versus US versus sort of Ukraine brewing up. So that will definitely bring volatility to the market. And obviously, it's not exactly looking fantastic either. So all eyes on kind of what's being brought up on the news. Obviously, we're about to close off the first month of the year, and we've got 2 months left until the end of the quarter, and 2 months left until Fed's rate hike or potential rate hike. So things are going to be maneuvered, things are going to be volatile as time kind of moves and pushes closer to March. A lot of things sort of also happen in April. A lot of profit gets taken in April as well. So realistically, we are potentially going to see a sort of trend change and a more bearish trend occurring for the next few months. Okay, so just make sure that you're going on the higher time frames, making sure, right, is this a lower low now? Okay, so price is now going to go up, create a lower high. Okay, so that's my moment to capitalize on potential longs. Okay, but we are looking, so the overall long-term picture, we are still bullish. However, obviously, we've now created another low. Okay, and at support. So it's just about keeping an eye on the higher time frames and knowing the direction that you're going in, so that you're not caught out by large moves. Okay, not buying at peaks and then wondering why you kind of lost all of your account. So that's kind of what's happening. Kind of touch on obviously total crypto market cap briefly. So again, got this order block over here, which it's obviously found some support. There is still room for maneuvering and coming down lower. Okay, so that is another reason why we should be thinking, right, things are going to be coming lower. Okay, Bitcoin shorts, if you can see on the right, they're 12% up, okay? And Bitcoin longs are actually down. Is it? Yeah. Um, that's not good. Obviously, Bitcoin longs are fully still high compared to shorts. However, it's the point that shorts are picking up pace, okay? Um, we should be looking at this. There's still very much a lot of space for the market cap to kind of continue losing value all the way down to this 100 moving average, which again is also a very key point of support. Okay, so Bitcoin normally is a lot faster. Okay, but the real chart that you really want to keep an eye on is obviously total crypto market cap. Once large price points are broken on crypto total market cap, that's when things really start to push down. We've got this death cross now crossed. Okay, that's not good news. Obviously, we could see a nice little push over to this level over here, but now we've got Bitcoin and total crypto market caps 50 moving average lower than the 200 moving average. Okay, which isn't good. Okay, so we should be thinking, okay, what the scenario is going to be now is that we're potentially just going to go into a range. Price is going to push up here, test this level of past support into new resistance, potentially come back down and just range it out. Okay, they're gonna try and entice people to join in, so there's going to be a hell of a lot of manipulation sort of occurring. Decent amount of accumulation over at this level over here. So there's going to be a decent bounce. So it's just kind of keeping in touch with kind of what's happening in terms of your indicators, in terms of price actions, in terms of price levels that price is adhering to or breaking. So we need to keep an eye on all of this. Obviously, the changes in shorts and longs, okay, that is a major sort of point that kind of need to keep an eye on. Once you start seeing a really true pace in shorts, okay, which we are already starting to get, it was at all-time lows, okay, and now we're starting to push up higher. So as soon as we start getting sort of this sort of action happen here, that's when you know large shorts are going to happen. In terms of longs are very much stagnant. Nothing is really happening. Okay, so prices realistically will have to come down to at least these levels over here. Once we start getting these reductions and shorts and longs are then almost the shorts are catching up with the longs. Okay, that's when things will be changing in terms of sentiment. And then we should then start thinking that we are fully in the bear phase. Now, in terms of being in a long bear phase like we were after 2017, I don't think that will be the case. However, we will be looking at obviously being in a sell-off, or at least in a bearish sentiment for a few months before things pick up. A lot of liquidity has been taken out. Okay, so that's one thing to kind of keep in mind. So yeah, we'll touch on Bitcoin dominance. Let's kind of go here. So again, 1, 2, 3 taps, all moving lower and lower. It's not looking exactly fantastic. So we could actually get a break much lower. Obviously, this is your low or your bottom. Okay, let me take some of this stuff out. And prices are obviously adhering to resistance, so we are looking like it's going to come down, at least test this 36% of the market, which is huge. Okay, huge switch over. So yeah, in terms of overall market sentiment, that's what we got. We'll see how the trading week ends. Obviously tomorrow we have got the Fed speech as well as the interest rate decision, so that is huge. Hence why we're not seeing a huge bounce. And it also depends on whether how the markets are going to react in terms of crypto. It could be good news, it could be bad news. Obviously, increasing interest rates makes borrowing credit more expensive. So obviously, institutions have been used to cheap credit to then go and invest in other things to make money. So obviously, if those interest rates are being hiked up, they will have to search for a different alternative, okay, in terms of putting their money into somewhere else where they can then hedge off that opportunity cost, okay. So it's going to be interesting. I do fully recommend for you guys to tune into that speech. You kind of pick up a lot of other things from there as well. So we will be watching that tomorrow and keeping an eye on it. So realistically, what we're going to get is potentially just a small trickling up in price, but don't be expecting huge moves, as obviously the majority of the market will be waiting for that decision and kind of waiting for that speech to kind of happen before they have a bit more of a clear guidance as to where to go. So we'll probably see a bit more volatility towards the end of this week, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, Fed speech tomorrow. Let me find out for you. I think it's around 7 o'clock. Bear with me. I'm pretty sure it is around 7 o'clock, and then 7:30. I think the interest rate gets released. But our forecast is that interest rates are probably going to be unchanged, and then what we're really going to see is in March is when we're going to see the rate hike. However, obviously there is a bit of skepticism as to how many rate hikes are going to happen, with the overall picture being more rate hikes will occur than what the Fed is obviously saying. But it just depends on how soon they're going to obviously start hiking up rates. So we've got, yeah, so 7 o'clock you will get, so 7 o'clock you get your statement, you then get your Fed interest rate decision also at 7 o'clock, and then 7:30 you get your press conference from the Fed. So it'll be a few hours of sort of intense information being offloaded, but obviously 7 o'clock is your important time, and then obviously if you want to follow through and watch that press conference, it's at 7:30, and again, highly recommend that you guys do watch that. It's really important, as it's kind of the biggest news that we should be watching. So yeah, in terms of all of that, that's our most important bit of news to come out this week. So we will be just waiting on the sidelines until that kind of comes out. So in terms of everything that we've kind of gone through, have you guys got any questions? If you do, feel free to ask so we can answer them. And then have you got any sort of charts that you kind of want us to have a look at and go over a quick TA for you guys. So give you guys a couple of minutes. If you don't want anything, just let us also know so that we kind of know whether you've received it or not. Also, we just kind of wanted to touch on Glassnode will be added to these live streams, as it's a great source of information to kind of stay or kind of give you a better picture as to what the market is doing behind the scenes. So that will be added by the end of the week, going into next week's sort of live streams. In terms of obviously the quality of the streams, they are going to be sorted next week. So the quality will be a lot better. Everything will be running a lot more smoother, which is amazing. So Dan, in terms of your question, okay, obviously you kind of went short the wrong time. However, what you want to do is you want to average yourself out of that position. So just basically average yourself into the position as price moves up. So in the same way that you buy dips, you buy sort of the legs up on Bitcoin. Just so you get a better average price that is higher, okay, rather than being so low. But we will be moving in a range, so just make sure that you're buying towards the top of the range. So in terms of sort of range trading, so we got these two order blocks up here that will potentially be the top of those ranges, okay, so 39k being one and then 40k. So obviously 40k was a huge level, so it is more than likely to come up and test that level, okay, and create a range. So we could see a range from there to here, okay. So price is just bouncing in between these levels over here before there's enough liquidity to make that next move. So just buy at the top, so sell at the top, okay, and then just get yourself out of the position as things move up and down. I don't recommend just fully sticking to sort of one way that the market is going. There is going to be volatility, and you will more than likely be cut out. Okay, it's what we're going to get in sort of these ranges that we got over here, as well as over here. This was the big range where a lot of people got caught out. Okay, and we're more than likely to get something like that. Okay, so just kind of be careful as to playing this. Okay, just buy the bottoms, buy the tops. This is going to be very much risky trading. It's not like what we got here, which was perfect. Okay, we got literally a bear flag. You couldn't got any better. Okay, so even if you could have played breakout trading, or you could have got at the top. Okay, but that's a very good risk to reward ratio. Okay, high probability trading there. However, what we're getting now is more than likely a range, and playing ranges is exactly what the institutions want to do to basically gain as much liquidity in the short range or short range of price. Okay, by simply literally liquidating and squeezing traders out by manipulating price up and above those ranges below, kind of basically mixing up emotions in that market. So just try and buy those tops, but keeping your stop losses quite wide. again, this is what I'm saying. It's very risky trading these ranges, especially how the market is currently. Okay, there's a lot of manipulation. So if you aren't comfortable with risky trading or higher risk trading, I just recommend, one, to close that position, and two, just to stay out until there's direction. Okay, until this range of price action has developed a bit more. Okay, where then you are closer to that breakout rather than at the beginning of the breakout. At the beginning of that range, so you're further away from a larger than expected move. Which one? Okay, so in terms of if you've got investments, you can, yes. However, obviously, it should have been done a while ago when we first caught those shorts. What you just want to really be doing right now is just buying these dips. Just look at the long term. Obviously, you're trying to kind of compensate, moving your assets into USD to kind of offset the loss in price. Okay, that's exactly what institutions also do. Okay, so but for now, I just say buy those dips. Okay, look at investments as longer term. Okay, rather than sort of try and make money off just simply moving assets over from one end to another or one market to another. Okay, just buy the dips. That is the best thing to do right now. So a good position to buy is obviously now, but obviously you need to structure your sort of averaging out correctly. The way that it's looking is that it could even potentially come much lower. Okay, we've got this level all the way back here, right? So this level connects with that. We've got this level over here that's not been tested either. Okay, and just if you can just imagine what a market cycle looks like. This coming down here, it literally looks fully like a market cycle. We could get all the way down here and then restart again, just like we got over here. Okay, up, okay, all the way down, consolidates, come back up, and then fully starts the market again, or the market cycle again. We could very much be deep into the bear market without even knowing. So it's just a case of keeping an eye out and kind of planning out sort of the scenarios that could come. But yeah, if you're in crypto for long term, just buy the dips, mate. Just buy those dips, and then in a 5-year horizon, okay, you'll be very much up. Okay, a lot of the mistakes that people do is buy too high. Okay, and then when they lose, okay, because one, they have a short term or short time frame, a sort of mindset in terms of making money. In terms of investments, you need to split your investments from your trading. They're two completely different things, right? Okay, so investment is more long term, and what you do is you buy those dips, whereas trading, you're looking at those short influxes in price to capitalize. That's why you use leverage, okay, because there's shorter price movements. Okay, so you make up for those shorter price movements with the leverage. Okay, so you gain more. So in terms of investment, just buy these dips here, buy the dips, okay, because when it really does go up, you'll be making money from all of these price entries. Okay, but obviously the way that you split your buying entries is obviously less at the top and more towards the bottom. So what you do is you just look at, okay, what is realistically the bottom, and the bottom that I'm comfortable with looking at. Okay, so we got these two. Okay, we got very much bottom, which I mean anything can happen, but these are. This one especially here that's not been tested, okay, is likely. We've got 200 moving average there as well, and a test of that level could really kickstart a new cycle. So what you want to do is then you want to look at these levels over here, split it into how many dips there's going to be and how many obviously entries that you'd be looking at, and then you split your total margin okay, over those, with the very bottom of the bottom being the most percentage wise that you put in. Okay, because once you hit bottom one, you'll be then fully in terms of your investment, and then if it's the bottom, then you'll be making more because you've placed more margin at the bottom than if you place, let's say, the majority of the margin here at 30k, okay, and then you place half of what you place at 30k down here, okay, so then your average price is going to be somewhere way higher up, okay, so it will take you a lot longer for you to actually start making profit on those investments, but it's all about sort of how you're looking at your investments. It's long term. Don't be thinking, okay, in a year, two years that I'm expecting to make a shit ton of money from my investments. So finger crossed that does happen, but that's not the way that you should be looking at your investments. Your trading is what fills up that gap between present time and then your investments really making a profit. Otherwise, you're just going to be making money. You're just going to be selling off your investments at really bad times. Okay, your investments should just be treated like that, and you should just keep it at that point, and just diversify. And obviously, if you're just in crypto, that's great, and also very much not great, depending on how good you are at investment. Obviously, you should be hedging into other assets that kind of make you money whilst the crypto market is losing money. Okay, so you should always sort of plan ahead of time and kind of make sure that you're secure depending on any sort of market condition or any bad news that comes out. Obviously, in terms of COVID, there were certain platforms that you could have made an absolute killing on, but the majority of the market went down. So sometimes you can't really do anything. But you should plan ahead as much as possible for these sort of events to happen, okay? But yeah, any more questions, or are you all okay? Just wanted to touch on also, we will be obviously releasing a playlist in terms of investments and sort of long-term holds. We are just currently planning out. We are very busy, so and we do like to do things correctly and properly, so they take time to plan, just so we've got the right sort of information, the right content from the get-go. We're not sort of putting out content for the sake of it and then having to go back in a bit of time to then redo it, re-update it. It's better for us just to obviously get it right the first time, and then just obviously help everyone out in terms of this learning content. But yeah, we will be putting out a playlist in terms of how to correctly diversify and build a portfolio, and all of that sort of snaz. But that's in the works, so just wanted to touch on. But yeah, you guys got any other questions, or are we okay? Any TA that you want us to do? I think we covered a lot of sort of the points. Yes, Tom, the snaz, baby. Perfect. Okay, guys, well, I'm going to love you and leave yours. And then, so unfortunately, obviously, we got banned from TradingView, which was a bit shameful. Obviously, it wasn't our first time that we kind of not abided by the guidelines. So we have been banned for a whole month of posting public charts, which is a very large hit to the system, as obviously TradingView is our largest sort of funnel of subscribers, so it is a huge hit, but obviously we will be doing these live streams to kind of obviously keep you updated and obviously offset the fact that we can't really post anything publicly on TradingView. But yeah, just be patient. We will go back to obviously posting our 5 charts Monday to Friday. But yeah, it's just going to take a little bit of time. So if you guys got any questions, so in terms of our premium snipers, do not hesitate to message support with just questions or queries in terms of, oh, can you do this TA on this coin? We will more than happily do that for you guys, and obviously give our opinion on it. But yeah, that'll be it, and we shall see you. We'll see you Thursday for another live stream towards the end of the week. So we'll see how things are working. Obviously, our premium members, we will be in contact as we go into the biggest sort of news day of this week tomorrow. So just make sure you guys are kind of all locked and loaded. But yeah, cheers, and we'll see you one tomorrow and two Thursday.